Welcome everybody to our second edition of Hot Plate Madness with Roger and Jen, myself. Today we are cooking Jen's Biscuits Benedict. You'd think I'd remember it because it's my recipe, but I'm bringing my recipe to you this week. So we're cooking breakfast today. Does everybody like breakfast?
Yeah.
Yay! You guys can clap and be excited with me. All right.
Well, we're waiting for the meal to finish, right, and see how excited we're going to be at that point.
Don't push my buttons, Roger.
All right, then.
I'm in charge. Oh, I just picked up a knife like it's
And also she has a
scary.
knife,
Sorry.
It's her
Nope.
way. Never cross Jen. That's the rule I've learned in the kitchen.
Just make me happy, okay?
That's the goal.
Just make me happy. Okay, so Biscuits Benedict, so the story behind it is that I was trying to make biscuits and gravy one day, and I didn't have all the items I needed. So I thought, well, what if I made eggs Benedict? And I didn't have all the items I needed. And so I made like this weird mix-up, mash-up idea. So it's Biscuits Benedict. So
is this Benedict fellow, is that your husband? Who is this guy?
I don't know the history of biscuits and Benedict and eggs Benedict.
It's not like Benedict Arnold, right? Like we're making some sort of
No, do you know the history of
No, I'm
eggs
asking. That's
Benedict?
why I'm asking you.
I'm supposed to know the history
Well,
of
it's your
eggs
recipe. All
Roger.
right, then.
Oh my gosh, you're pushing my buttons
Well, the
again.
knife is right there.
Roger! Okay, so what you're going to start, well, the basic things that you'll need for Biscuits Benedict is you're going to need English muffins, okay? You're going to need breakfast sausage, you know, good old Jimmy Dean style. Roger, thank you. My Vanna White, all right? Okay, you're going to need cream cheese. You're going to need, what's he going to grab next? Butter. And all-purpose flour, eggs, and some milk. All right, and some basic cooking utensils, which I should probably turn these on. Roger, why didn't you get these warming up?
This is an English muffin. Now I'm really concerned because we're talking about this Benedict Arnold fellow, and now it's an English muffin. Are there American muffins?
Oh, Roger.
Just
Where's
want
the
to make
knife?
the kitchen great
Where's
again,
the
Jen.
knife?
Just want to make the kitchen great.
Okay, so English muffins, if you haven't used them before, they're kind of pre-sliced. I don't know if you can see that. Boop. Okay, so they're not sliced all the way through. So you need a knife, and you're going to cut down to finish that slice, and you'll have two pieces. Okay? Ta-da! I feel like this camera's going to throw me off.
If you try to pull them apart, what happens?
They
just
tear. They crumble into
Okay.
pieces. This is a very kind of dense, dry bread, okay? So what we're going to do, excuse me, is we're going to put this, we're going to toast it, all right? This is a smaller pot. I have a bigger pan. Why do I have this little one on here? Roger, why aren't you looking up?
Use the right tools for the job. That's what we always say.
So we're going to put that in there. It's going to take a minute to toast, but you're going to want to toast your English muffin, okay? While that's happening,
Jen, can you throw these in a toaster?
you can if you have a toaster, but we are Hot Plate Madness here,
Right.
so
Yeah. We ain't got no time for toasters.
no toasters. So this is the breakfast sausage, okay? Which I'm just going to tear open, and I'm going to throw into this pot. It doesn't need to be in a skillet like this, like you would typically do when you're browning burger or whatnot. But since we're making this into a gravy, I'm just going to cook it right in the pot that I'm going to make gravy out of.
Remember last week's when I was talking about gelatinous?
Yeah, that was this.
That's
Yep.
kind of that bag.
Good shout out to last week.
Yeah, you know.
Good job.
Callback.
So we're gonna get that going. Let me like blow my nose. I know everybody loves that, but
When you need to blow your nose in the kitchen, you don't do it like this, like over the stuff, right? You move away from the cooking area.
that's hilarious. Okay. Do you hear that? Is that picking the bed?
No.
Yeah. That is the meat starting to cook, okay? So you're gonna take, I prefer to use a wooden spoon, but today we have this nice metal spatula, and I'm just gonna smash up this log. You want my phone, Roger?
Nope.
Oh, you got a camera. I'm just gonna smash this up while it's cooking. We'll see how long it takes to cook on our Hot Plate Madness here. Was it a while for the burger last week?
No, it did its thing, you know. It took whatever it took. Through the power of editing, it appeared to take no time at all.
So you guys are stuck here, but the video will be much shorter. Who in here likes breakfast?
Logan.
Logan likes breakfast. Well, everybody raised their hands. So
Everybody did raise their
do I
hand.
win a prize for picking breakfast?
Again, we're going to see how much we like breakfast at the end of this when we get a taste.
Oh, Roger.
You know.
Where's your faith in me?
I have complete faith in Jenn Martin, but I've never had Jenn's Biscuits Benedict before.
It's sloppy Joe goodness in breakfast style, really, is what it comes down to. Okay, we're gonna let that cook. But if you make this recipe that I'm making with just the amount that I'm using today, you'll have enough for breakfast all week long. I was telling Logan that the other day, I'm like, come to my cooking class. Because he's like, I buy breakfast every morning. I'm throwing you under the bus, Logan. I spend so much money on breakfast, I just buy breakfast every morning wherever I'm going. And so I was like, oh no, you could make this recipe like Sunday night and then just heat it up every morning all week long, and it's not like you have to bust out all these dishes in the morning. You can literally do this the night before and then eat it. It's super tasty. If you stir it, the more you stir it, the more you mash it while it's cooking, the finer the pieces will be. They'll be smaller little bits, okay? And so I prefer to have the smaller bits, not tiny, but smaller bite-sized pieces in the sausage gravy, because then you get more sausage in every bite rather than, oh, here's a big chunk of sausage and then 5 bites without sausage. So that's why I end up stirring and mashing it a lot and chopping it up.
So you said you're trying to make this more like a sloppy Joe style.
Oh, you just wait, yeah.
Okay, I'm
Roger,
waiting.
your mind is going to be blown.
That happens
Okay.
regularly.
Okay.
Is that my fault?
Sometimes, yes. Yes, that's the idea, right? Is go ahead and send in or give us your recipes. We will make them, but you have to have your name as part of the recipe. So, for
Yes.
instance, today we're Jenn's Biscuits Benedicts. Last week we were the Jackie Special. Next week maybe it's your name and your fabulous meatloaf or whatever the heck it is.
And it's okay if we've never made it before, because we're just so cool that our first episode and our first recipe was one neither of us had even tasted before or seen, and yet we made it and it was a success.
Yes.
So don't be afraid to just have us cook something, but please don't set us up. Now that I say that, they're going to be like, oh, we're going to send them this recipe, we're going to put dog food in it, like, oh.
Liver and veal together.
Oh my goodness.
Okay, so that appears to be cooking up pretty
It
good.
is, it's doing really well. How are these doing? It's getting toasted. It takes a little bit of time on a boiler plate, a little hot plate, but it is a way to toast your muffin. If you can't toast your muffin, don't worry about that at all. I wanted to say so many jokes about toast your muffin.
Well, I'm sure in the
Those are
comments
really
section
hard.
there will be plenty.
Oh my gosh, they probably will, yeah. They'll go to town with toast your muffin. Anyway, but if you can't toast your muffin, that's okay. Okay, just eat it plain. The sausage gravy makes it amazing, so no biggie.
Jen, did you not just say go to town to toast your muffin?
You weren't supposed to crack jokes, Roger.
That's not the image we want to portray here.
Oh, you repeated it.
Well,
you had to point it out.
You said it, and I'm like, I don't know what
Roger.
she's talking about there.
Oh, can I get a bar of soap? We need a bar of soap. Oh my goodness. Hey, do you want to get a nice clip of this
So, yeah,
nicely
looks like-
browned sausage?
Looks like that is happening.
Look at
the
how
way we
beautiful.
want it
Look
to
at these
happen.
bits and pieces of sausage.
So that's exactly what she was talking about.
So, at which point, you're going to take about a half a cup of flour, okay? All right, it doesn't have to be exact. Gravy doesn't have to be exact. But you're going to sprinkle about a half cup of flour right into the sausage. You don't have to drain it, okay? Because the grease in there is what's going to kind of adhere to the flour or get the flour to adhere to the sausage, okay? So I'm stirring the flour into the sausage, okay? At which point, when it's all stirred in, I'm going to add milk. Now, milk is not measured out for this. It's not an exact science, okay? You're just going to take some milk, you're going to pour it in there, okay? And then Actually, I'm not going to use a whisk. You can use a whisk if you want to, but I'm just going to keep stirring with this lovely spatula that I'm not using the whisk. I'm not using it though. Okay, so you can see how there's milk in there, but as the milk warms and starts to boil, it's going to thicken because of the flour. So we're just going to keep the heat going and we're going to stir so it doesn't burn or scorch, okay? But it's going to thicken up as it goes, and then you'll just add more milk if it's too thick, less milk if it's not thick enough, okay? And I will show you what the cream cheese is for in a minute.
Do you ever add more flour?
No, not for this, because the cream cheese actually helps thicken it too. Yeah.
And then I noticed that we have a huge giant thing of flour, but we just used a little bit.
Yes, Roger, tell us why we have a huge giant thing of flour.
Well, this is about the smallest size you can get really at the grocery store.
It is.
And,
It's only $1.99.
one of the things, yeah, it's cheap, but you there's going to be a lot of different recipes that we're going to do throughout the course of this series that more than likely many of them will be using flour. So sometimes you'll buy this and you won't really have to buy it again for a long time because you'll use little bits here and there to do things like gravy or other things we'll be doing later. So some of these ingredients you'll just have to buy once, and then meals as they go will actually end up being cheaper because you won't have to buy things that you already have in your kitchen.
That's right. So there are some staples that you'll have. They're in bulk, seasonings and things like that, but you don't have to go to the store and buy all these things in bulk right off the bat, okay? Just kind of as you're doing a different recipe, you'll end up accumulating these things naturally.
And then the key is to remember that you have flour in your cupboard and don't buy more.
Yes, yes. Just because you're trying a new recipe that also calls for flour, don't think, well, I better buy more flour if you already have it.
Yeah, I've got like 7 packets of brown sugar in my cabinets.
Sure. So this is getting thick. It's kind of like a little bit more on the pasty side, okay? So I'm going to add more milk because I want it not that thick for my gravy. And we'll just keep stirring, and then that milk will heat up and thicken as well. So that's how you do gravy. Okay, look at this English muffin. Do you see how it's toasting? Okay, now just because it's not brown in the middle doesn't mean it hasn't toasted. You can tell it's toasted, okay? So that's an easy way to get your English muffin toasted when you don't have a toaster. We're going to take it off now, and we'll add it to our magically toasted muffins that are over there. But what we're going to do, I'm going to grab a knife, a knife, okay? And so if you have a pan that's not non-stick, or the non-stick is really terrible, like most pans.
Well, and this pan looks like we've used it in a campfire or something before.
Yeah. So a good way to keep your eggs from sticking to the bottom of the pan would be to put some butter in there, okay? It's the oil base to the pan. We can get our egg. So we got our butter in there, okay? I'm gonna crack the egg a little harder. I'm gonna put it in the pan, just like so.
Can Jenn Martin, who's been bragging all morning, actually flipped the 2 eggs without destroying them.
Oh, Maureen, give me some credit.
It maybe had just been a couple minutes ago. But.
Well, so I'm not gonna cook them yet because they need to be, the whites need to be cooked more. Like you see how it's very thin and transparent on the bottom. So there's some transparency on the bottom of these whites, whereas these whites are more cooked. You want to wait until they're more cooked before you flip it over, otherwise you're going to get a broken egg. I'll have you know I'm not using my utensils that I'm used to at home. It's not even my pan.
Now, just so you're all aware, Jenn Martin has told me that she has never broken an egg, ever.
Roger!
So here we go.
Okay, you're in my way.
Oh, now it's me. First
I'm
it was the
right-handed.
pan.
I'm
First
going to
it
get
was
like
the
this
pan.
and be real here,
First
okay?
it was the pan.
I'm going to
now
flex
it's-
my
now
muscles.
I'm in the way.
Okay, get some protein. This is a very soft egg still. Ta-da!
Oh yeah, but there's one more.
Oh my gosh, Roger. I'm testing my patience.
Oh, look at that. Wow. Okay.
You're just not good at it, okay?
Well, no, I think each time we do eggs, we'll just continually add an additional one. And so next time you'll be flipping 3, and then the following time it'll be 4.
Oh my. Okay, so you see this lovely gravy consistency? We'll probably put a little more milk in there in a bit, but since it's already a great consistency, we're going to now add our softened cream cheese. Now, cream cheese needs to be kept in the fridge, okay? And so it's not soft when you pull it out of the fridge. If you want to soften it, pull it out ahead of time. If you don't have the time to pull it out ahead, or if you're like me and you forget to pull it out ahead of time, I often microwave it. But you can also put it in hot water, like in a bowl of hot water, and it'll soften within just a few minutes. Ooh, look at our gravy boiling. That's yummy. This is where we're gonna want it to whisk it. So I'm gonna put a brick of cream cheese in there, okay? It's nice and soft, so I'm gonna break it up, and I'm gonna whisk it too. So let me find my whisk. The whisk is really good at mashing it into little pieces, and we'll just mix it in there. And the cream cheese is going to make the gravy a little bit thicker, so at which point you're going to end up adding more milk. This is how I get my whisk cleaned out. Isn't that funny? So I'm going to let that cream cheese warm up even more, and it'll melt into the gravy, okay? Okay, you see how this gravy is nice and thick? So I want it a little bit thinner than that for our biscuits at Benedict here. So that's when you're going to add a little bit more milk, and it's not rocket science, it's just getting it to the consistency that you prefer. But all that cream cheese is melted in there. Yeah, my dad would make biscuits and gravy growing up, and he always made the best gravy. And one morning I just said, he was making it, and I was like, Dad, because we really love cream cheese in my family. We put cream cheese in lots of stuff. I was like, Dad, what if we put cream cheese in there? And he looked at me and just went, oh. So we started doing that, and it's amazing. You have your English muffin, okay, that you've toasted on your pan. You've got a couple of eggs that are done, but what I like to do first is I put a scoop of gravy on each English muffin, okay, and then I'm going to move my plate over here so people can see. You're going to take your egg and you're going to top it off with the egg. Logan, come test our biscuits, Benedict.
Oh.
I've nominated you. You're probably going to want a knife since a plastic fork isn't going to cut it very well.
Alrighty.
Jenn's Biscuits Benedict. Here's the test moment.
Knife doesn't go through the fork.
Can I crack jokes about that one too?
Amazing.
Yeah?
Wow, yay!
Oh, good. It's another
Another
winner.
winner.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. All right, so that's easy. So you got all this gravy for leftovers. You've toasted up a bunch of English muffins, so you don't have to toast a bunch ahead of time. We did. But you can just toast one in the morning when you're ready to eat. But you get one bag of English muffins that covers you for the whole week. You get a carton of eggs, that's the whole week. Make your gravy on Sunday night. You got breakfast all week long. Jenn's Biscuits Benedict.
Make sure you get knives that go through forks too.
Knives that go through forks. So,
All right.
there you have it. We will see you again next week. Same time, same channel. Jenn Martin, Roger
Woohoo!
Hammaker. See you next time.
All right, peace out.
Boom.